There's a saying that perfectly describes both a car and a person: no brakes. It's a phrase that's come to symbolize the tragic reality of my life now. There were no brakes, and that's exactly why my wife, Meline, and her car are no longer with me. I have 3 passions that mean everything to me: fishing, hunting, and cars. Fortunately, I'm not alone in these pursuits. I have a tight-knit group of friends, Samuel, Nathan, and Nicholas, who share the same interests. Together, we ventured deep into the woods, deliberately choosing the roughest, muddiest routes to push our vehicles to their limits, all while indulging in the thrill of the hunt or the calm of fishing. I met Meline a little over 3 years ago when she enrolled in the driving school where I worked as an instructor. The moment she slid into the training car for the first time, I couldn't help but notice her striking features and graceful figure. There was a 5-year age gap between us, but that didn't stop me from looking forward to our lessons. She caught on quickly, so quickly that I knew it was only a matter of time before she aced her driving test. One day, I mustered the courage to ask her out, and to my relief and maybe a little surprise, she gave me a warm smile and said yes. That's how it all started. A year later, we exchanged vows in a wedding filled with laughter and celebration. Naturally, I invited my closest friends, Samuel, Nathan, and Nicholas, who had been there through it all. Nicholas even stood by my side as my best man. A lot changed in the next 3 years, though, especially for me. Looking back, I realized I had rushed into marriage. Every time I planned a trip with my friends, there would be an argument. She'd say, "Honey, I'm going out with the girls for a bit, I won't be long." I'd push back, reminding her, "You always come back drunk and causing a scene. And we don't even have kids, not because we can't, but because you don't want to." Meline knew how I felt, but that never stopped her. The next day, she'd casually tell me she was heading out again, brushing aside any objections. I trusted her. It never even crossed my mind that she might betray me. But every time she came back, the apartment reeked of alcohol. She'd collapse onto the couch and, out of nowhere, suggest we should get a new car because this one was too cramped. I'd thought about upgrading before, but the cost always made me hesitate. The arguments got worse and more frequent. Meline started disappearing from home multiple times a week, only to return and reignite our fights. I began seriously considering divorce. Despite her youth, I realized I felt nothing for her anymore. The love I once had was slowly morphing into disgust. I had always dreamed of a family, of a warm home, a devoted wife, and children running around. But instead, I was stuck with a woman who betrayed me over and over. Divorce seemed like the only way out. Then, in late July, Meline vanished again. This time, though, she didn't come back. She said she was out with friends, but her so-called friends hadn't gone anywhere that night. She wasn't in any hospital, and she didn't turn up in a morgue. 3 long days passed before I finally contacted the police. The search quickly escalated, with both law enforcement and volunteers joining in. A week later, they found her. The car was at the bottom of the river, completely submerged, with 2 bodies inside. My wife wasn't alone. Nicholas, my so-called friend, the man who had stood by me at my wedding, was right there with her. Strangely, both of them were naked, both covered in blood. The autopsy confirmed what I had already suspected. Alcohol was in their systems. As the investigation unfolded, the truth came to light. They had parked at the edge of a cliff by the river, wrapped up in the heat of the moment, completely oblivious to their surroundings. But they made a fatal mistake. Neither of them had bothered to engage the handbrake. At some point, as they were lost in their drunken passion, the car started rolling. By the time they realized what was happening, it was too late. The vehicle plunged into the river. The water was deep near the bank, and the car sank fast. Neither of them had time to react, to break free, or to fight their way out before the cold, merciless current swallowed them whole. And just like that, my marriage was over. Do I feel sorry for Meline? Maybe a part of me does. But more than anything, I just hope this wasn't the last time I get to believe in love.